Hey, yo. What's poppin', gang? Yeah, we back with another reaction. What's good? What's good? What's good? All right, man. So we got a good one for you today. I came across this video a couple days ago, man. I wanted to react to it. I saw the title of it and instantly thought, yo, this is something I've been saying for a little bit. And a lot of y'all have actually been saying this too. But I just think what we're seeing and what we're witnessing is a shift in music, in my opinion, my personal opinion. I think there's a shift from what used to work to what we're witnessing now. What up, Chosen? What up, gang? And I say that and specifically not just this artist, but we just reacted to Ray Vaughn, and we're starting to see, well, we seen Ray Vaughn, we saw Friday and Meek. We're just seeing more substance in the music, and people are eating it up. Like, people are exhausted of not having any substance. It's like we've been eating and just like having filler food, like rice cakes. Like we've been surviving on rice cakes and Percocets for like forever. So like we done. Like, yo, they done with that. They want steak and vitamins. What up? What up, Petty Idol? What up, Monarchy? What up, K Gimel? What up? Do me a favor, hit that like button when you guys pull up, man. I appreciate you. If you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. I appreciate it. We on the way to 30K. So yeah, man, like I said, I think there's a shift that's happening, and this video seems to be outlining some of that. This is a new channel that I haven't really tapped into. I think it's I Used to Be Pay. Is that what that says? I Used to Be Pay. I think that's the name of the channel. And the title of the video is This Is the End of an Era. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hit the like button over here. As I asked you guys to do the same thing on this video, make sure y'all check out I Used to Be Pay. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, either one you like, but make sure you guys go show some support to that video as well. We're going to go ahead and tap into this one. Yeah, run up them likes. I appreciate you. Let's get it.
There was a time where these artists could roll out of bed, drop an album, and pretty much take over the rap scene. Guys like
Dirk and
Lil Durk, Lil Baby, 21 Savage, Gunna, Future, Travis Scott, Young Thug. These were the names of guys who have basically kind of dominated the rap game ever since 2018.
Do we have any disagreements so far? I don't have any disagreements. Any of those artists, like you said, I think 2018, since 2018, could have dropped anything and it would have went crazy. Mainly, like, I feel like Travis Scott, even the last album, I didn't care for it personally. I thought it was okay, but it wasn't. I didn't think it hit like that. Future's new project, I ain't really think it hit like that. Lil Baby, I don't even think I listened to a single song on the Lil Baby album, personally. And I feel like Baby was running stuff for a minute, and I feel like his sound just got so repetitive that it was so repetitive that like everything sounded the same. But I haven't heard any lies so far.
But it feels more and more like their time is up in terms of this just being their era. These artists have been the people who have really dominated mainstream hip hop. They've been the ones that have dominated the playlists like a Rap Caviar or any other mainstream rap playlist. These are the artists that have dominated the airways, dominated the radio, if you even listen to the radio or ever took the time to. These are the artists who have been the most impactful of this era, despite the fact that most of them aren't the most dominant in terms of numbers. Some of them are, but a lot of these guys aren't the most dominant in terms of numbers. Guys like Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and J. Cole, who are bona fide superstars and have been before this era even started, have had to kind of adjust to what these guys are doing and integrate them into their own work and really follow their lead over this past like almost decade or so now.
So he's saying that artists like Drake in particular, I think, has definitely adopted that model of plucking and pulling some of these artists in to make music that resonates the way it make it hit the way that those artists' music is hitting. I wouldn't say Kendrick is so much. If you guys listen to that again,
this era even started, have had to kind of adjust to what these superstars, and have been before this era even started, have had to kind of adjust to what these guys are doing and integrate them into their own work and really follow their lead.
that I'm not super. I don't agree with completely. I think Drake has done that. Well, I will say Cole has done it a little bit too. Cole has done it a little bit too, but Cole does. I don't think Cole has done it in a way where they've been featured on his projects. I think he's featured on some of their stuff, but I can see that too. Kendrick just hasn't done it at all. Not with a lot of these mainstream artists. Like if you think of a Thug, Gunna, Dirk, Travis Scott. Well, I mean, Kendrick does have a track with Travis Scott. I mean, I guess maybe a little bit.
Over this past like almost decade or so now. These guys have been pretty much the flag bearers of rap since around 2018, but I feel like that moment is now coming to an end.
I agree.
And that era is done. What's good, YouTube? It's Justice I Used to Be Paying. Today I'm back with another video, and in this video I'm going to be telling you why this is the end of an era. But before I get into that, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Do all those things. It helps me out a ton. From 2018 really up until right about now, these guys could do no wrong. Like they were
couldn't,
not
bro.
missing. Now, of course, they deserve the credit for that because they're the ones that dropped the music. Nobody did it for them. But once they were able to get people on board, there was no looking back ever since that moment.
Lil Baby couldn't miss for like 2 or 3 years. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. It's the return of substance, and I'm here for it. I still find it crazy that people are quick to call Doechii an industry plant, but think Ice Spice is organic. I don't really even understand that. The whole industry plant with Doechii's, I don't really understand that. I think her work speaks for itself. There's a clear difference. There's a clear difference in the type of artistry that Doechii brings and Ice Spice. You could say that they're both talented. A lot of people wouldn't. You could say that they're both talented, but there's just levels to the talent, in my opinion. Couldn't agree more, right? Couldn't agree more.
Like these guys were hitting on such a level that almost everything that they did was money. And you cannot go to a public setting right now that plays rap music and not hear at least one of those names that I mentioned. You can't even really go to any public setting that plays music in general and not hear one of those names that I mentioned. Of course, if you go to like a country festival or like,
yeah, of course,
you go in and listening to like an R&B night at an R&B place or R&B club, whatever you want to call it. Of course, they're not going to play their music. But I mean, like if you go to a place that has just like in general mainstream popular music, you're going to hear one of those names that I mentioned earlier. And to make things even crazier, they all feature each other on their album.
All their tracks.
If one of them drops an album, you're going to hear at least 3 or 4 of the other names that I mentioned previously.
And do y'all think that kind of helped with making it a little bit boring? I think that helped in making it boring. I think hearing the same 3 or 4 artists on so many different songs, like I think Joe Budden and them said it, like, I'm cool if I never get another Drake, Thug, you know, I'm cool on not getting that no more. Like, I don't need that personally. I think it really just it got watered down, bro. It got watered. I don't need it anymore. You can't do it differently any more than you already have. Anything you put out is gonna be a rehash, unless there's some sort of crazy amount of growth between both artists. It's gonna sound exactly the same. He said
pretty much every rap album since 2018 has a government mandated 21 Savage feature.
What do you say? Hold up.
Album since at least 3 or 4 of the other names that I mentioned previously. Pretty much every rap album since 2018 has a government mandated 21 Savage feature.
A government mandated 21 Savage feature. It seems like it. It seems like it, bro. Yo, if you got an album coming out, 21 gonna be on there to just say 21. 21. He gonna be on there to do that. Drake pissed off at Pastor Joe. He's speaking the truth. Bring back real hip hop. What up, Shantae? Bring it back. In the same certain issues when people less collaborative with the features, They say more original music with no features. Just have those same people complaining.
Like these guys have really just taken over everything. This group feels almost like a clique or a fraternity of rappers that have
Facts.
dominated the mainstream rap scene. And at this moment, it feels like the tide is kind of turning away from that. You really start to see this shift though in how people talk about Lil Baby. Lil Baby, without a shadow of a doubt, is the golden boy of this group. Even if you don't believe he's the best, even if you think 21, Gunna, or whoever else, Lil Durk, is better than him, there's no denying that he was kind of positioned as the golden goose of this group by the media. Like, he was put in that spot as the number one guy going into the future. Like, back in 2020, he was the guy with the rocket strapped to his back who was going super crazy with his music, super crazy numbers, number one album, number one song. Like, he was the next guy in rap. Some people even put him in the spot of possibly being the guy to unseat Drake one day as the most popular rapper in the world.
Ooh.
Like,
did y'all ever believe that? I don't think I ever believed that, though. If Baby was... I could see it, though, man. Literally everything he dropped was something that was just getting played on repeat, no matter what it was. Any sporting event, in the car, like anywhere, bro. It was just on repeat. Yeah, I definitely say he was the golden child for sure.
He was called the next Wayne or the Wayne of this generation. That's how high people were on Lil Baby back in 2020, 2021. And he has, without a shadow of a doubt, been a hit maker for the last 7 years. Like, that's all he's done is put out hits.
Drip Too Hard, Close
But the
Friend,
last two
Yes,
albums that he's
Indeed.
released have, at best, mixed reviews.
What happened?
At best, last two albums that he's released have, at best, mixed reviews.
I haven't heard anybody talk
At
about
best,
it.
mixed reviews. And people still listen to Lil Baby. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he's completely fallen off and nobody listens to his music anymore. But there's no denying that his momentum has slowed massively.
Drastically.
Massively. Like, people are just not really enamored with Lil Baby like they...
But why? Why are people not enamored with Lil Baby when they loved it for so long? Why is it? I'm telling it's because it sounds the same. And as your audience grows and you don't, the same thing that happened to Drake. The audience grew, he didn't. That's where the separation starts. That's why I think Drake attaches so heavily to Atlanta, because that's where all the hot clique of rappers was created. After the beef, it started to become clearer how saturated the game was. That's a fact. I was never a fan of mumbling rap the way they did. Me either. I won't say I was a fan of mumble rap. But I think Lil Baby to me always struck me as a person who could at least rap with substance if he wanted to. It just sounded like he found something that worked and was like, okay, I'm not leaving this lane. Everything is going to sound like this because this is what's making money. That's it. That's what's going to pay the bills. Why put effort into the music when I could do the same thing on every track? That's how I felt. He didn't evolve. That's a fact.
They were in 2020, 2021. They kind of feel a little bit over it at this point. Like, they feel like Lil Baby has about 4 or 5 tricks in his bag, and that's really it. Like,
Bro,
once he gives you that, there's not that much
that's
he can
it.
do anymore. You don't really see people calling him the Wayne of this generation anymore.
Hell no. He should have never been called
as
that.
high on him anymore. They just don't feel that same way that they did. They feel like he's gotten a bit stale. And that kind of criticism or that kind of way of thinking for Lil Baby low-key applies to the whole group as well.
It does.
Some people feel like it's gotten a bit stale.
Bro, again?
And the internet, as a result, has kind of turned on Lil Baby. Now, of course, he still has fans. Don't get me wrong. He's not the most hated rapper in the game. But there's no denying that you just don't see that same Lil Baby love anymore. You don't see guys constantly saying, man, Baby top 5. I don't care what nobody say. You just don't see that anymore. This critique of things getting a bit stale seems to kind of be a theme of this group.
Yeah.
Like I just mentioned before, Lil Baby gets it. 21 Savage gets it a lot. Lil Durk gets it a lot. And even people have started to give it to Travis Scott, unfairly in my opinion.
Unfairly to Travis? Here's my thing. I feel like the leaders of these sounds, though, like I feel like, not to say that Baby is the leader of that sound, but he's one of the pioneers of the mumble. He's a pioneer of mumble. Future was mentioned too, which he's a pioneer. I don't really know if he deserves to be mentioned in this list though. just because I feel like Future could really drop and still kind of shake the world a little bit if he wanted to. Travis Scott in the sense where he's not maybe a pioneer of auto-tune, but he only got a couple tricks in his bag and it's lit, and that's it, bro. That's it. I feel like people are raged out. It's like, okay, we gonna rage to everything? So I don't know. Baby ain't no pioneer of mumble. He's gotta be up there, bro. He's one of the most prolific mumble rappers of all time. The production and the beats made their mumbling sound legit. But then that's the other thing. The production itself becomes stale. If everything sounds the same. Lil Baby pissed off at Pastor Joe on Weed Funny.
But mostly with the song 4x4, people were saying, bro, it's not 2018 anymore. So all of these guys kind of get this exact same critique. And I don't think it's an accident. I feel like fans feel like some of these guys are just starting to kind of roll out of the bed and just give us whatever. Just
bro,
give us
that's all they
anything,
gotta do.
And that should be good enough just because it's coming.
But that's why it's changing, because you can't do that anymore. What up, Darren? You cannot. What? You cannot at this point in music, roll out of bed and give us an album. Well, you can, and some people are gonna listen to it because there's still people that are doing it, but you can't just roll out of bed and give us an album after we just got GNX and arguably the greatest diss records of all time between the two artists. You just can't. People are looking for substance.
Coming from Lil Baby, or that should be good enough just because it's coming from Lil Durk.
Nah.
That's kind of how fans feel that they feel. It's like, no, bro, we're not just going to accept anything. And I know people are going to
Would you add Cardi to this list? As an H-Town resident, Travis definitely needs this smoke too much. Would you add Cardi to this list too?
At me for saying this, but respectfully, Future gave us 3 albums in 2024. That last one, Mixtape Pluto, is exactly what I'm talking about when I say things start to feel a bit stale. There's good music on there, don't get me wrong, but we start to feel a little bit of that repetition, a little bit of that, like, man, are you sure you really had enough music to make a full-length project?
No, you didn't.
Because some of this stuff really just starts to sound the same.
But a lot of these dudes, I feel like, do this. A lot of these dudes put out this, the amount of music that they do just to fulfill obligations. I don't think they're really putting out music to please the fans. They're putting out music to fulfill obligations, get a new deal, renegotiate a contract, make some more money, and boom. So you might get an album with 1 or 2 crazy joints on it and a bunch of filler because they're just trying to fulfill obligations. That's it. Rapping, these guys are rapping they're rapping to try to get numbers to get the next best deal. That's it. What are we reacting to, crew? We're reacting to a video called "This Is the End of an Era."
Like, again, I know people are going to be mad at me for saying that about Future, but that's just how people really feel about this group of guys. They feel like sometimes this specific group can be very guilty of sacrificing a lot of their quality to give us quantity. I know that I'm framing this in a way that may sound like I'm trying to say these guys' careers are over.
No, I don't believe that at all.
That's not what I'm trying to get at here. What I am trying to say, though, is that these acts and the ones that are very similar to them are either going to evolve in the next few years or so and move forward with rap, or just kind of get left behind in a way.
But Evolution don't seem like it's in their playbook. Deontay, what up, gang? Yeah, I will put Cardi and Uzi in the list. I don't think Evolution is, I don't know. Evolution isn't in their bag. He said you can hear smoke detectors in some of these songs. They don't care. I don't think Evolution is anywhere near in their vocal. They're like, yo, I'm doing what works. And when this doesn't work anymore, I'm selling jewelry, bro. I'm going to open up a jewelry store. That's it. I'm gonna have a chain of car washes. I'm gonna be lit forever. I'm not gonna act. I'm not gonna do anything creative. I'm gonna take all this money. I'm gonna go into real estate. Like, bro, I'm not giving you nothing more than what I got. That's it. That's how I feel. Why is Future so prolific? Because he hasn't matured and he's pushing 50. Sheesh. Yeah, they ain't evolving. I just don't think a lot of these dudes really care about the music like that, to be honest. Yeah, they're not evolving at all.
Way with this era of rap. Now, I have said
Not
that
because
I
they
believe
can't,
that this
because
era
they
is
don't
pretty
want
much done, but we haven't fully moved into the next one yet. I don't really know what the next theme or the next era or the next wave of rap is going to look like for the next 5 to 7 years or so. And I think that we're kind of in the middle of this previous one that I've been talking about for most of this video and whatever the next one is. So there still is time for these guys to kind of spice things up and change things up and evolve with time to be able to move on to this next era. But I do believe that that's going to be a necessity for all of these guys. Right now, it feels like the middle class of rap is kind of disappearing. Like you're either a top dog
or you're
not. The middle is going away. The middle that was filled with names that aren't blockbuster superstars like a Drake, Kendrick, or a Kanye, but were still big names regardless.
But I think that's partially our fault too, though. I think that's partially our fault. I don't think I think if people listen to those artists, then there would be the argument, right? I think it's partially the listener's fault for flocking to mainstream. I don't want to say mainstream, but the biggest artists there are and not focusing on the middle class of artists, which is reflected. We can see it. Act was calling it the woke era we are in currently. Here's the thing. Woke gets attached to consciousness and like conscious rap, right? Like if we're in a woke era, then everything has to be conscious. And I think the other side to that is the sleep era, where everybody is all about either drilling, some sort of combination of illegal substances, and taking dudes' girls. That's it. And I think that's what some people really want to hear. But I think the transition is happening where some people are like, you know what, bro? I'm kind of growing up. I don't really want to listen to that no more. I don't think I want to. I don't know if that's something I really want to. I don't know if that's the energy I want all the time. Would y'all agree? Do me a favor, chat. Hit that like button. We got over 100 million people in the chat. Let's get to 100 likes in the stream. I appreciate it. Yes, Act brought up a good discussion topic, which was shocking. Yeah, that's kind of, I was like, oh, he said that. Middle, ideally, in this era, would be Jid, Doechii, Cordae, Joey. It would be. What's a good middle class? Give me like a good 5 middle class. That's a good way to start. Minnie said, Jid, Doechii, Cordae, as much as I don't care for Cordae. And Joey I just don't like how he did that whole thing. Jalape's video on We Owe Meek an Apology, he kind of explains how Drake winning that battle allowed for this type of rap to be on top for so long. Drake winning the battle against Meek allowed for this type of rap to be on. I got to listen to that video because I definitely want to kind of dive into that a little bit. Too many listeners only following the mega artists. I'm glad I listen to artists for myself. Facts. That's what I'm saying. When does be aware or woke become a bad thing unless that was the plan the whole time? Right. It shouldn't be a bad thing to be aware and awake. But I think if I'm playing devil's advocate, or at least if I'm trying to understand the other side, right? They just say, who wants to be woke all the time? Who wants to blah, blah, blah all the time? And I'm like, you don't have to be, but you also don't have to be sleep all the time. It kills your energy, bro. And I think that's why watching the party die, shout out to Leanne. That's why watching the party die was such a wildfire. It took over everything. It was like, oh yeah, I'm ready to watch the party die. I'm ready to see all of this burn down and get built back up. That's why. I like Ren. Yeah, I like Ren too. Ren had that one joint where that's where I first kind of came in contact with Ren. Was I think it was one where he was sitting in like the asylum with the guitar, going crazy, going back and forth. I was like, bro, this is art. This is insane. Bro, where you been? YouTube has not been showing me your videos. Mr. Sneaks, what up? I've been here, bro. I've been going crazy. Why not be intellectually challenged all the time? It's being intellectually challenged all the time is like eating healthy all the time. Some people just don't want to do it. And some people can't do it. Like where some people might have the means to eat healthy all the time, they still want McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or something every now and again. And to me, I even understand that approach. But there's some people who only want Little Caesars and Taco Bell every day because that's all they can manage. That's all they can get. I equate that to the rap scene the same way, where like I'm not opposed to having something of substance more often than I have non-substance. Unfortunately, right? I thought you were interviewing Wiz Khalifa for a second. Yeah, I'm interviewing Wiz, bro. What up, DM? There's a need for balance. We need balance. That's a fact. It's like going to college. You got to go out so often to give your brain a break, right? And I get that. But I think that's why that middle class is kind of, it's either really good or really bad. And unfortunately, I won't say really bad. I'll say really big artists and smaller artists, because the smaller artists, a lot of the artists that's just putting out that Little Caesars, Taco Bell level music. They're still doing it up here too, but at least the production is a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. There's a lot. Not gonna lie, when I listen to my Kendrick playlist, I get a headache sometimes because he is so impactful and thoughtful with the music. So listening to that thought-provoking all the time can be hard. I can respect it.
Names like a 21 Savage, a Gunna, a Lil Durk, these guys who kind of filled the middle class of rap, it feels like those spots are starting to go away. And everyone's numbers as a whole, just in music really in general, but especially in rap, seem to be kind of down at the moment. And if these guys stay relatively the same, I expect their numbers to reflect that as well. Look at Polo G and Roddy Ricch. These are kind of the best examples of the worst case scenarios for what could happen to these guys.
Bro.
Once upon a time, these guys were grouped in with the names that I mentioned earlier, especially Polo G. He was in the mix with all of those guys. Polo G was one of those guys who was looked at as one of the next superstars of rap, one of the next rising stars. But
bro.
The combination of really honestly a lack of development plus the fan criticism equaled, well, unfortunately.
The fans criticized the level of production, the level of growth. They wanted more from these artists, and they just didn't give it to them. That's all. New middle class has to be also has Gunna, 21 Savage, Lil Durk, and Roddy Ricch. Ayo, game react to Hanuman Khan featuring Mbachi, Killer on the Loose. I'll get to it. Also, what are some female middle class? I feel like we don't see females who are not marketed exclusively. Yeah. If you don't, it's like Doechii, Ice Spice. That's not good.
Fortunately, like his downfall, low key. Like
Rhapsody.
Polo G on his album Hall of Fame sold 140K first week. And this, in hindsight, was an album that a lot of people really didn't like. Like Polo G really had a lot of hate starting at Hall of Fame. Like that was the moment where everything started to change in terms of the narrative surrounding Polo G. There were rumblings of critiques and criticisms before, but then it just kind of turned to flat out hate after Hall of Fame was released. But that album still did 140K first week.
That's because people wanted
up until his next project, which is Hood Poet in 2024, and that album sold 24K first week.
Jesus.
Polo G got outsold by Ice Spice in 2024 in terms of first week numbers. Now, I'm not saying that to say just in a vacuum like this is what happened. There's a whole bunch of context to what happened between Hood Poet and Hall of Fame.
There's a lot that happened in between
and
that.
The album being delayed a few times. But regardless, at the end of the day, no album with a name tied to it like a Polo G should do 24K.
Not at all.
And I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen to these guys. I'm not saying that that's in their future. But I'm just trying to give an example of the change in reality and how fast it can really come. from 2021, where Polo G is looked at as one of the next big things, next young guy to carry the genre on his back. Him, Lil Baby, and NBA YoungBoy are going to be the next big names in rap. To 2024, where he's a complete afterthought.
Bruh.
Despite Future being over 40 years old, I do believe he will be able to thrive in whatever era is next.
I think so
because
too.
He's been adapting and evolving for over a decade now, and I feel a very similar way about Young Thug. So I'm not necessarily worried about those guys too much. Travis Scott is another guy that I'm not really too worried about.
Travis Scott has the machine behind him, though. No Diddy. Travis Scott has the machine pushing him. That's what I think for Travis. Travis is a product. Travis is like, to me, Travis Scott is like the Dwayne The Rock Johnson of rap. He's a product. Anything he's on, he's selling. What up, Antium? That's how I feel about Travis. Future, I think, has a good case of just always being around, bro. No matter what, you can always use a Future hook or a feature. I see that for him in that way. Who else did he say? Thug, I just gotta hear from him. I think he's got a style that is unique. I just gotta hear from him.
Necessarily worried about those guys too much. Travis Scott is another guy that I'm not really too worried about. As an artist, Utopia showed me that he can evolve, and it really showed me that he has so many different things that he can creatively branch out and do, and so many different things in his bag that, again, I'm not too worried about it. Maybe a song will come out here and there like 4x4 where not everyone's convinced, but I'm not too worried about him in the future, at least at this moment in time. But the guys that I am really worried about are definitely Lil Baby and 21 Savage. Now, I would have thrown Lil Durk in this group as well, but I don't think we're going to be getting too much Durk music in the future. But they just don't seem like the type of artists that will be able to completely like renovate themselves and evolve to what's happening surrounding them. Like,
I don't think so.
I
don't
really
think they
do
want
like
to.
Lil Baby, and I really do like 21 Savage, so I'm still going to be listening to their music regardless, more likely than not at least. But if there ever were anybody in this group who I could look at and say, man, I know they're probably going to have a hard time evolving what they do, it would probably be those two.
Facts.
So that means that they will have to find other ways to keep up with whatever's happening and remain relevant. Whether this group of guys completely fall off or some of them fade into the back.
The thing about 21 is I don't think he can fall off. I think he can just continue to feature. He might not have to put out major projects or whatever. He could still be a force in hip hop and put out lackluster projects because he's 21. What do you expect from 21? We just need Ludacris in the studio? That's a fact. 21 to be okay. 21 is fine. Baby, on the other hand, I see him being like, all right, deuces, I'm out of the game. Like I said, I got car washes. I'm selling jewelry. Check out Lil Baby snacks, Lil Baby juice, Lil Baby cereal, Lil Baby coming out with his own streaming service. Like, that's how I see him hustling and getting it like that. I see him just being like, all right, I'm done. Hey, we had a good run. It's over with. We had a good run.
Become a little bit more niche as artists and a bit more grounded, kind of like the Baby, where, they're still doing performances, still making money. They're just not that guy anymore. Just know that this period of dominance is probably over for these guys. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't move on into the next era and continue to be dominant. It doesn't mean that they can't continue to be a big name. It just means that they're probably going to have to start to bring something newer to the table, something fresher to the table, something where they're showing a little bit more depth or they're evolving a little bit more in order to continue to be one of the biggest names in the genre in the next few years or so.
Facts.
The days of them just kind of rolling out of bed,
It's not gonna
dropping
happen. It's
any
over.
old album, whether it was great or just okay, and still being the face of Rap Caviar and still being the guys whose music is constantly being played in the club and on the radio, I think are coming to an end. It doesn't mean that they can't continue to do great things and, progress as an artist, but I think that we're just going to be demanding a little bit more.
Like, the peak is over with. That's what he's saying. He's just like, the peak is done. Like, we're not going to get that no more. The Baby will be okay. He is writing the Carolina Panthers theme song, according to him. If chosen, he will eat for a long time if that's every time that's played.
From these guys in the future. And the era of them dropping just being enough is probably over, at least in my opinion. But if you made it this far, I greatly, greatly appreciate it.
I agree, man. I agree with probably like 80% of what he said. I agree. I think that the time for just being lazy about music is over. People want substance. People want you to put your soul into your music. They don't want to just hear you talk about drilling and taking girls and they don't want to hear about that anymore. Not to say anymore, but I don't think that I think that people are evolving and want more from their hip hop, more from their rap, and that's my opinion. Do me a favor, chat. Hit that like button. Like I said, we got over 100 people in here. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. You guys can follow me at my socials up here, man. I appreciate you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I think we got one more video, and we're going to get up out of here. But I love you guys so much. Y'all have a great 10 minutes. I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes. I'm out. Peace.